The stars glittered coldly in the viewing screen as Captain Alan Foster stood with his hands clasped behind his back. The massive ship known as the USS Defiant hummed with power beneath his feet. This was supposed to be a good day. Humanity's first official meeting with an alien coalition called the Zethian Confederacy. But Foster felt uneasy. "Sir, the Zethian representatives are ready to board," said Lieutenant Susan Miller, her voice steady despite the historical significance of the moment. Foster nodded. "Tell them we're ready." The Zethians were tall, thin beings with skin that seemed to shimmer with a bluish light. There were 3 of them. The leader called itself Ambassador Krell. Its large eyes scanned the welcoming area of the Defiant with what Foster thought might be disdain. "We welcome you to human space," Foster said, extending his hand as he had been instructed to do by Earth's diplomatic corps. Ambassador Krell ignored the gesture. "We have studied your species for some time now," it said in perfect English. "We find you interesting." Something in the way it said, "interesting," made the hair on Foster's neck stand up. The meeting moved to the conference room. Maps of space territories were displayed on screens around them. The Zethian proposal was simple, on the surface. Humanity would join the Confederacy as a protected species. They would receive technology, knowledge, and security. "And what do you get in return?" asked Foster. "The satisfaction of guiding a younger species," said Krell, "and access to your unique biological attributes." Foster didn't like the sound of that. "What attributes specifically?" "Your adaptability is unlike anything we've seen," said another Zethian. "Humans can survive conditions that would kill most species, and your minds, they work differently." Terms of the agreement scrolled across Foster's tablet. The more he read, the more his unease grew. Humans would not be allowed to expand beyond their current colonies without permission. All ships would have Zethian advisors aboard, and Earth would need to provide biological samples on a regular basis. "This isn't an agreement between equals," Foster said finally. "This is subjugation with a nice name." Ambassador Krell's face hardened. "We offer protection and advancement. Many species would be grateful." "Many species aren't human," Foster replied. He stood up. "I think we need more time to consider your offer." "Time is a luxury," said Krell. "Our patience is not unlimited." The meeting ended with tension thick in the air. As the Zethians prepared to return to their ship, Foster received an urgent message from Earth's Defense Council. "Captain, we're detecting energy buildups in the Zethian vessel," said Lieutenant Miller, her voice now tight with alarm. Before Foster could respond, the entire ship shook violently. "Sir, the colony ships Horizon and New Dawn have been hit," shouted the tactical officer. They're gone, sir." Foster's blood ran cold. Those ships had been carrying families, thousands of people. "Battle stations, lock weapons on the Zethian vessel." But it was too late. The alien ship activated some kind of drive system Foster had never seen before and vanished in a flash of light. 3 days later, Foster stood before the Earth Defense Council. The chamber was silent as he finished his report. "They attacked without warning," he said. 2 colony ships destroyed. Over 3,000 civilians dead. Council Chair Greg Simmons looked grim. "The Zethians have sent a message. They say the destruction was a regrettable misunderstanding but insist we must accept their terms." Foster's hands clenched into fists, and your Respo Samantha Hayes rubbed her tired eyes as she monitored the communications station on the USS Defiant. They had been traveling for 5 days since leaving Earth space. 5 days of silence and tension as they headed toward Zethian territory. She adjusted her headset and froze. "Captain," she called out, turning to face Alan Foster. "I'm picking up something." Foster moved quickly to her station. "What is it?" "A distress signal, sir. Very weak." Her fingers flew over the controls. "It's coming from Sector 47, near the debris field of the Horizon." Foster's expression darkened at the mention of one of the destroyed colony ships. "Can you clean it up?" Samantha nodded, working to filter out the background noise. A scratchy voice filled the bridge. This is Dr. Paul Wright, Research Module of Colony Ship Horizon. Anyone, please respond. It's a survivor, Samantha said, her voice filled with disbelief. Foster straightened. Lieutenant Kevin Barnes, change course immediately. We're going to Sector 47. The massive warship altered its trajectory, engines pushing to maximum safe speed. As they approached the debris field, the bridge crew grew silent. Pieces of the once proud colony ship floated in the emptiness of space like a grim memorial. Scan for life signs, ordered Foster. Detecting one small pod, reported Officer Eric Jones from the sensor station. Very faint power signature. Life support is almost gone. Within an hour they had brought the escape pod aboard. Dr. Paul Wright was thin and pale but alive. After being checked by the medical team, he sat in the briefing room with Foster and his senior officers. I should be dead, said Wright, his hands wrapped around a cup of hot coffee. Everyone else is. How did you survive when the Zethians destroyed your ship? Asked Foster. Wright took a sip before answering. I was in the research module studying a new element we discovered on Mars. We call it stellarite. He pulled a small container from his pocket. Inside was what looked like a glowing blue rock. When the attack happened, I was in a shielded chamber with this. Something about its properties must have hidden me from their sensors. Lieutenant Barnes leaned forward. Interested? May I? Wright handed him the container. Barnes studied it, then looked up sharply. Sir, these energy readings match patterns we detected from the Zethian ship right before it disappeared. Foster's eyes narrowed. You think this element is related to their advanced drive technology? It's possible, said Barnes. And if it is, they might be more worried about us than we thought. This could explain why they attacked without provocation. Wright nodded slowly. The element reacts strangely to certain energy fields. In my tests, it seemed to create a kind of fold in space, just for microseconds, but it was measurable. Samantha spoke up from where she sat. So the Zethians might have attacked because they discovered we have access to something they use for their advanced technology? And they don't want competition, added Foster, the pieces falling into place. The meeting continued as they discussed options. Finally, Foster made his decision. Dr. Wright, I want you to work with our engineering team. If stellarite can give us an edge against the Zethians, we need to understand it better. As the others filed out, Foster stopped Samantha. Officer Hayes, I need you to do something else. Go through all our records of the Zethian communications. Look for any mention of this element or anything related to their drive technology. Samantha nodded. Yes, sir. Later, as the Defiant resumed its course toward Zethian space, Foster stood alone in his quarters looking at the small piece of stellarite that Wright had given him. The blue glow cast strange shadows across his face. You attacked us because you're afraid of what we might become, he said quietly to the empty room. Maybe you were right to be afraid. The USS Defiant pushed on through the darkness, carrying humanity's response to the stars, NSE. The vote was unanimous, said Simmons. The USS Defiant is authorized to proceed to Zethian space with a clear message of our own. He looked Foster directly in the eyes. Make them understand that humanity will not be subjugated. Not now. Not ever. Foster nodded once. Yes, sir. As he left the chamber, Foster's mind was already planning the mission ahead. The Defiant was the most powerful ship humans had ever built, and now it would show the Zethians exactly what humanity could do when pushed too far. Red lights flashed across the bridge of the USS Defiant as alarms sounded. Captain Foster rushed to his command chair. Report, he ordered. Unknown vessel approaching at high speed, said Lieutenant Barnes from the tactical station. It's not Zethian design, but the energy signature is similar. Shields up, said Foster. Weapons ready. The crew moved with practiced efficiency as the ship prepared for possible combat. On the main screen, a sleek vessel appeared. It was smaller than the Defiant, with curved lines that reminded Foster of ancient sailing ships from Earth. They're hailing us, said Samantha Hayes. Foster nodded. On screen. The image shifted to show a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large, expressive eyes. Thin, white hair floated around its head as if underwater. "Human vessel," the alien said in slightly accented English. "I am Captain Whisper of Stars of the Viridian ship Morrigan. We come seeking alliance, not conflict." Foster studied the alien carefully. "I'm Captain Alan Foster of the USS Defiant. You're in disputed space, Captain. Why should I trust you?" "Because we share a common enemy," said Whisper of Stars. "The Zethians enslaved my people centuries ago. We are one of the protected species they spoke of when they met with you." Foster glanced at Samantha, who nodded slightly. "The translator is working properly, sir. This is real communication." "I request permission to come aboard your vessel," said the Viridian captain. "What I have to share should not be transmitted, even on secure channels." Foster considered this for a moment. "Permission granted, but you'll be escorted at all times." An hour later, Foster sat across from Whisper of Stars in the secure conference room. Chief Engineer Maria Ortiz and Dr. Wright were also present. The Viridian moved with a strange grace, as if the ship's gravity was slightly too heavy. "How did you find us?" asked Foster. "We've been monitoring Zethian communications," said Whisper of Stars. "They are concerned about your ship. They have never encountered a species that rejected their offer of protection." Dr. Wright leaned forward. "What do you know about Stellarite?" The Viridian's eyes widened slightly. "You know of the blue crystal?" "This is unexpected." Wright placed his sample on the table. The Viridian seemed almost nervous around it. "This element is rare but natural to our system," said Whisper of Stars. "The Zethians use it for their advanced drive systems." Maria Ortiz, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "I don't understand why they would attack us over this. We've barely begun to study it." "Because it's not just about travel," said Whisper of Stars. "It's about control." The alien pulled back the sleeve of its suit to reveal an arm laced with thin blue lines. "The Zethians control their confederacy through neural technology powered by Stellarite. It creates a network that lets them dominate other species." "But not your people?" asked Foster. "Not completely," said Whisper of Stars. "Our biology naturally contains trace amounts of the element. It gives us partial resistance to their control methods." Foster's mind raced with the implications. "So they attacked us not just to prevent competition, but because they feared they couldn't control us?" "Precisely," said the Viridian. "And now that you've demonstrated resistance, they will not stop until your species is either under control or eliminated." Dr. Wright looked troubled. "How do we fight something like that?" Whisper of Stars turned to face him. "The same way you would fight any network. You target the central hub." The alien pressed a button on a small device. Projecting a holographic map of Zed, the USS Defiant moved slowly through a field of space dust. They had been traveling for 8 days now. The crew was tense. They were getting closer to Zethian space. "Captain," Foster stood on the bridge looking at the stars on the main screen. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alarm. "Captain! Unknown ship approaching fast," said Lieutenant Barnes. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "Shields up," ordered Foster. "Is it Zethian?" Barnes shook his head. "No, sir. Different design, but some of the energy readings are similar." "They're sending a message," said Samantha Hayes from her station. Foster nodded. "Let's hear it." A soft voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, we mean no harm. We wish to talk. We share enemies." Foster looked at Hayes. "Can we see them?" A moment later, an image appeared on the screen. The alien had light blue skin and large eyes. Its face looked almost peaceful. "I am called Whisper of Stars," said the alien. "My people are the Viridians. We were once free, but the Zethians made us a protected species long ago." "Protected," said Foster with a frown. "You mean controlled?" "Yes," said Whisper of Stars. "We have been watching your ship. You fight the Zethians. We wish to join you." Foster thought for a moment. This could be a trap, but they needed allies if they were going to face the Zethian forces. "I invite you to come aboard and talk," he said finally. The alien ship called the Morrigan was beautiful in a strange way. It docked with the Defiant, and soon Whisper of Stars walked onto the human ship with 2 guards. The alien moved with odd grace like someone used to swimming. In the meeting room, Foster sat with Dr. Wright, Chief Engineer Maria Ortiz, and the alien captain. "Why should we trust you?" asked Maria. She didn't look happy about the visitor. Whisper of Stars held up a hand. The skin seemed to glow with faint blue lines. "We Viridians have something in our bodies that the Zethians fear, something that gives us some protection from their control." Dr. Wright leaned forward. "Is it stellarite? The blue element?" The alien's eyes widened. "You know of the blue crystal? This is unexpected." Wright showed the small sample he had saved from his research. "This is what saved me when the colony ship was destroyed." "Yes," said Whisper of Stars. "This is why they attacked your ships. They fear what humans might become." "What do you mean?" asked Foster. "The Zethians use stellarite for many things," explained the alien. "For their ships, yes, but also to control other species. They put devices in the brains of those they conquer. The devices use stellarite to connect all minds to the Zethian network." Maria looked shocked. "They put things in people's brains?" "Yes, but it doesn't work well on Viridians. We have small amounts of stellarite in our bodies naturally. It gives us some protection." Whisper of Stars looked at Dr. Wright. "And now humans have found stellarite too. The Zethians are afraid." Foster understood now. "So they attacked us before we could learn to use it?" "Yes, and they will keep attacking, until all humans are either controlled or dead." The room was quiet as everyone thought about this. Finally, Foster spoke. "How do we stop them?" Whisper of Stars touched a device on its wrist. A map of stars appeared in the air above the table. "Here is the Zethian home system. At its center is their control world. From there, they manage their whole empire. If we can reach it, we might free all the controlled species at once." Foster studied the map. "That's deep in their territory. How would we get there?" "There is a way," said the alien. "A path through a dangerous nebula that the Zethians avoid. My ship knows this path. We can guide you." "And then what?" asked Maria. "Even if we get there, what can one human ship and one Viridian ship do against their fleet?" Whisper of Stars made a sound like quiet music. It might have been laughter. "We will not be alone. Many wait for a chance to break free. They only need hope." Foster looked at his officers, then back to the alien. "Tell me more about this path." "Ethian space. Here, their homeworld, the control center for their entire empire." Foster stared at the map. The Zethian homeworld was heavily defended, surrounded by fleets and defense stations. "You're suggesting we attack the heart of their territory?" "Yes," said Whisper of Stars. "And the Morrigan will fight alongside you. Many others will join us if they see hope." Foster looked at his officers, then back to the alien. "Tell me everything you know about their defenses." The USS Defiant burst out of the nebula in a flash of blue light. Captain Foster gripped his chair as the ship stopped shaking. The view screen cleared, showing what waited for them. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Barnes. A massive fleet of Zethian ships hung in space before them. There were dozens of them, all larger than the Defiant. They were arranged in perfect lines like soldiers waiting for battle. "They knew we were coming," said Foster. His face was hard as stone. Samantha Hayes worked quickly at her station. "Sir, they're moving to surround us. The Morrigan is taking position beside us." The voice of Whisper of Stars came through the communication system. "Human friends, this is unexpected. The Zethians should not have known about the nebula path." Security Chief Nicole Parker stepped forward. "Captain, I need to speak with you. Now." In the small room off the bridge, Parker's face was grim. "Sir, I found something." She held up a small device no bigger than a fingernail. This was hidden in our main computer. It's a Zethian tracker. Foster's eyes narrowed. How did it get there? It was planted before we left Earth, said Parker. Someone on our side is working for them. Foster felt cold anger rise inside him. Someone had betrayed them. Someone had sent them into a trap. But there was no time to find the traitor now. They had to survive first. Back on the bridge, Foster looked at the enemy fleet. They were trapped. The nebula behind them, the Zethian fleet ahead. There seemed to be no way out. Sir, they're hailing us, said Hayes. The face of a Zethian commander filled the screen. Its skin had the same blue shimmer that Ambassador Krell had shown, but its eyes were cold. Human vessel, it said. You have violated Zethian space. Surrender now and submit to boarding or be destroyed. Foster didn't answer right away. He was thinking, looking at the pattern of enemy ships. There was something there, something he could use. Lieutenant Barnes, he said quietly, I need you to listen carefully. As Foster spoke, Barnes's eyes widened. That's crazy, sir. Yes, it is, agreed Foster. But it's all we've got. Foster turned back to the screen. Zethian Commander, this is Captain Alan Foster of the USS Defiant. We will not surrender. The Zethian's face showed nothing. Then you will die. The screen went dark. All hands. Battle stations, ordered Foster. Lieutenant Barnes, execute pattern Delta. Barnes took a deep breath and began entering commands. The Defiant's engines roared to life. The ship moved in what looked like random directions. First left, then right, then up, then spinning. Sir, the Zethians are firing, called out Hayes. Keep to the pattern, ordered Foster. Tell the Morrigan to stay close to us. The Defiant danced through space, moving in ways no ship that size should be able to move. Energy blasts from the Zethian ships passed around them, missing by meters. The pattern Foster had seen was working. The enemy ships were arranged too perfectly, too predictably. Their firing pattern had gaps. Sir, said Dr. Wright from his station, I'm getting strange readings from the Morrigan. On the screen they could see the Viridian ship was glowing with blue energy. It was sending out some kind of signal. The Viridians are transmitting my research on Stellarite, said Wright with wonder in his voice. They're sending it to the other ships in the Zethian fleet. Why would they do that? Asked Parker. Hayes listened to her headset, then looked up with shock. Captain, something's happening. 3 Zethian ships just changed course. They're firing on their own fleet. Foster allowed himself a small smile. It's Bige. The battle around the USS Defiant grew more intense with each passing minute. The ship shook as enemy fire struck their shields. On the bridge, Captain Foster watched as more and more Zethian ships turned against their masters. How many rebel ships now? Asked Foster. 7 confirmed, sir, said Samantha Hayes. And more showing signs of breaking free. Lieutenant Barnes worked quickly at his station. Our shields are at 60%. The Morrigan is still with us, but they've taken heavy damage. Foster nodded. Stay on course for the Zethian command ship. The space battle was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Ships that once fought for the Zethians now protected the Defiant and the Morrigan, creating a path through the chaos. Sir, called Whisper of Stars over the communications link. Dr. Wright's signal is working. The control devices are failing in many ships, but the Zethian leaders know what we're doing. They're trying to block the signal. Push forward, ordered Foster. We need to get closer to their command ship. The Defiant fired its main weapons, clearing a path through 3 enemy vessels. The human warship moved with surprising speed and power, cutting through the Zethian line of defense. Suddenly, a massive blast hit the Defiant from behind. The ship lurched forward and red warning lights flashed across the bridge. Direct hit. To engineering, shouted Barnes. We have fires on decks 4 through 6. Foster grabbed his communication device. Chief Ortiz, report. Maria's voice came through, filled with static and the sound of alarms. Captain, the main engine room is badly damaged. We're trapped in here with the fires spreading. Seal the area and hold position, said Foster. I'm sending help. Foster looked around the bridge. We need someone to lead a rescue team to engineering. Navigation Officer Jack Collins stood up from his station. I'll go, sir. Foster nodded. Take a team and get our people out of there. Then, help Ortiz stabilize the engines. We can't stop now. Collins moved quickly to the lift, gathering crew members as he went. The ship shook again as they made their way down to the damaged engine section. When the lift doors opened, Collins saw thick smoke filling the corridor. The heat was intense. Breathing masks on, he ordered his team. Stay low and move fast. They crawled through the smoky hallway toward engineering. Parts of the ceiling had collapsed, blocking their path. Collins could hear cries for help from the other side. We need to clear this, he said, looking at the fallen metal beams. His team worked together, lifting the heavy debris. The ship's structure groaned around them, threatening to collapse further. Finally, they created an opening large enough to pass through. In the engine room, Collins found Maria Ortiz and her team trapped behind a wall of flames. The chief engineer was trying to keep the engines running while also fighting the fire. Collins, she called out when she saw him. The coolant lines are ruptured. If we don't fix them, the whole ship will go critical. Collins and his team fought through the flames to reach them. Together they worked to seal the damaged lines and contain the fires. The heat was almost unbearable, but they kept working. Captain, Collins reported through his communication device. We've reached engineering. Ortiz is hurt but alive. We're making repairs now. On the bridge, Foster received the news with relief. Good work, Collins. How long until we have full power? 10 minutes, sir, came the reply. Maybe less if we're lucky. Foster looked at the main screen. They were getting closer to the Zethian command ship, but the enemy was now focusing all their fire on the Defiant. The shields were failing. We don't have 10 minutes, said Foster quietly. At that moment, 3 more Zethian ships broke formation and began firing on the command vessel. The rebel ships had created a protective wall around the Defiant. Sir, said Hayes with excitement in her voice. Whisper of Stars says the other captains want to speak with you. They're calling you Liberator. Foster stood straighter. Tell them we're grateful, but the job isn't done yet. He turned to Barnes. Prepare boarding teams. As soon as we reach the command ship, we're going aboard. The USS Defiant pushed forward through the battle, damaged but determined, heading for the heart of Zethian power. Enning. Whisper of Stars said there were others waiting for a chance to break free. He raised his voice. All hands, prepare to push forward. Target the lead Zethian vessel. Those rebelling ships are buying us an opening and we're going to take it. The space around them erupted in explosions as ship turned against ship. In the chaos, the Defiant drove forward, heading toward the heart of the Zethian fleet. The battle around the USS Defiant grew more intense with each passing minute. The ship shook as enemy fire struck their shields. On the bridge, Captain Foster watched as more and more Zethian ships turned against their masters. How many rebel ships now? Asked Foster. 7 confirmed, sir, said Samantha Hayes, and more showing signs of breaking free. Lieutenant Barnes worked quickly at his station. Our shields are at 60%. The Morrigan is still with us, but they've taken heavy damage. Foster nodded. Stay on course for the Zethian command ship. The space battle was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Ships that once fought for the Zethians now protected the Defiant and the Morrigan, creating a path through the chaos. Sir, called Whisper of Stars over the communications link. Dr. Wright's signal is working. The control devices are failing in many ships, but the Zethian leaders know what we're doing. They're trying to block the signal. Push forward, ordered Foster. We need to get closer to their command ship. The Defiant fired its main weapons, clearing a path through 3 enemy vessels. The human warship moved with surprising speed and power, cutting through the Zethian line of defense. Suddenly, a massive blast hit the Defiant from behind. The ship lurched forward and red warning lights flashed across the bridge. Direct hit to engineering, shouted Barnes. We have fires on decks 4 through 6. Foster grabbed his communication device. Chief Ortiz, report. Maria's voice came through, filled with static and the sound of alarms. Captain, the main engine room is badly damaged. We're trapped in here with the fire spreading. Seal the area and hold position, said Foster. I'm sending help. Foster looked around the bridge. We need someone to lead a rescue team to engineering. Navigation Officer Jack Collins stood up from his station. I'll go, sir. Foster nodded. Take a team and get our people out of there, then help Ortiz stabilize the engines. We can't stop now. Collins moved quickly to the lift, gathering crew members as he went. The ship shook again as they made their way down to the damaged engine section. When the lift doors opened, Collins saw thick smoke filling the corridor. The heat was intense. Breathing masks on, he ordered his team. Stay low and move fast. They crawled through the smoky hallway toward engineering. Parts of the ceiling had collapsed, blocking their path. Collins could hear cries for help from the other side. We need to clear this, he said, looking at the fallen metal beams. His team worked together, lifting the heavy debris. The ship's structure groaned around them, threatening to collapse further. Finally, they created an opening large enough to pass through. In the engine room, Collins found Maria Ortiz and her team trapped behind a wall of flames. The chief engineer was trying to keep the engines running while also fighting the fire. Collins, she called out when she saw him. The coolant lines are ruptured. If we don't fix them, the whole ship will go critical. Collins and his team fought through the flames to reach them. Together, they worked to seal the damaged lines and contain the fires. The heat was almost unbearable, but they kept working. Captain, Collins reported through his communication device. We've reached engineering. Ortiz is hurt but alive. We're making repairs now. On the bridge, Foster received the news with relief. Good work, Collins. How long until we have full power? 10 minutes, sir, came the reply. Maybe less if we're lucky. Foster looked at the main screen. They were getting closer to the Zethian command ship, but the enemy was now focusing all their fire on the Defiant. The shields were failing. We don't have 10 minutes, said Foster quietly. At that moment, 3 more Zethian ships broke formation and began firing on the command vessel. The rebel shy time seemed to slow down for Captain Foster as he processed Hayes' warning. The command ship was going to explode, taking them all with it. Dr. Wright, start the disconnection process now, Foster shouted, keeping his weapon aimed at the prime consciousness. Wright worked quickly at a control panel, his fingers flying across the alien technology. Captain, I need more time. If we rush this, billions of connected beings could die from neural shock. The prime consciousness watched with cold eyes. It doesn't matter. In 2 minutes, this ship will be gone. Your efforts are wasted. Lieutenant, Barnes moved to another panel. There must be a way to stop the self-destruct sequence. The sequence is locked to my neural pattern, said the Zethian leader. Only I can stop it, and I will not. Foster's mind raced. Around them, the blue lights pulsed faster. The ship trembled slightly as the power built up. Captain, Wright called out. I've started the disconnection process, but it will take at least 5 minutes to safely release all connected species. We don't have 5 minutes, Foster replied. Grimly, Security Chief Nicole Parker had been quietly examining the room. Now she stepped forward. Sir, I think I found something. She pointed to a small chamber near the central column. That appears to be where the prime consciousness connects to the system. Foster understood immediately. If we can get the prime consciousness to connect, could it stop the self-destruct? Possibly, said Wright. But we'd need to force it in there. The Zethian leader backed away. I will not help you destroy what we have built over centuries. Foster motioned to his team to surround the alien. You have a choice. Help us save billions of lives, or die knowing you failed to stop us. For a moment, the prime consciousness seemed to consider this. Then, with surprising speed, it moved toward Foster, a hidden weapon appearing in its hand. Parker reacted instantly. She threw herself between Foster and the Zethian. The alien's weapon discharged, striking her directly in the chest. She fell to the floor but managed to fire her own weapon, hitting the Zethian in the leg. Nicole! Foster knelt beside her as Barnes and the others subdued the injured prime consciousness. Parker looked up at Foster, her breathing shallow. The ship. Stop it. Foster turned to Wright. Can we use the prime consciousness to stop the self-destruct? Wright nodded, looking at the wounded alien. Get it into the connection chamber, now! They dragged the struggling Zethian to the chamber and forced it inside. Wright activated the connection process. The alien's body went rigid as thin blue tubes connected to its skin. It's fighting the connection, said Wright. I need to override its control. On the floor, Parker pulled something from her belt. Use this. She handed Foster a small device. What is it? He asked. Stellarite. Concentrated. Her voice was getting weaker. Found it. When looking for the tracker. Foster passed the device to Wright, who quickly integrated it into the system. The blue light pulsed brightly, then stabilized. It's working, Wright exclaimed. The self-destruct is stopping, and the disconnection process is proceeding safely. Throughout the galaxy, billions of beings felt the control of the Zethians fade from their minds. In the space battle outside, the remaining loyal Zethian ship suddenly stopped fighting. Foster returned to Parker's side, holding her hand. You did it, Nicole. You saved us all. She smiled faintly. Worth it. Her eyes closed as she took her final breath. 3 weeks later, the USS Defiant approached Earth space. The ship showed signs of heavy battle damage, but it flew proudly. Behind it came ships of many designs, former Zethian vessels now crewed by free beings. On the bridge, Captain Foster stood with Whisper of Stars and representatives from 5 other species. They watched as Earth grew larger on the view screen. What happens now? Asked one of the aliens. Foster looked at the diverse group around him. Now we build something better. Not an empire or a confederacy that controls, but a true alliance, based on respect. As the Defiant led the fleet home, Foster thought of Parker and the others who had given their lives. Their sacrifice had not just saved humanity, but had freed countless beings across the stars. Prepare for docking, he ordered, quietly. And send word ahead. Tell them to prepare for guests. The galaxy just got a lot bigger and a lot friendlier. PS had created a protective wall around the Defiant. Sir, said Hayes with excitement in her voice. Whisper of Stars says the other captains want to speak with you. They're calling you Liberator. Foster stood straighter. Tell them we're grateful, but the job isn't done yet. He turned to Barnes. Prepare boarding teams. As soon as we reach the command ship, we're going aboard. The USS Defiant pushed forward through the battle, damaged but determined, heading for the heart of Zethian power.